This is Justice League issue 92. It is part of 0 Hours Christmas in Time. And this is also the first appearance of that bloke off of the Van Morrison Genie story. He's the baddie in that, the one that wants to take over the Justice League. He is called Trump, and this story introduces his character, and it is diabolical. At least Canary is on the cover, and I have said before, I fancy the fuck out of her. She is gorgeous, easily my DC dream girl. If anyone knows her, can you put me and her in contact? Cause I really fancy her. Like, to me, she is amazing. This is part 1 of a story called Return of the Hero. It is written by Chris Topher Pruist. And there's the Justice League, Beautiful Canary, The Flask, Green Lanterns, and Aquaman. And if you look, they are all wearing headsets on their heads. Because it was the 90s and that was a fashionable look. I don't know why. Maybe Madonna did it in a video or something. And Canary is looking really sexy again. Like, the look at her face, she obviously isn't comfortable, which is a shame, but even then, she is still a total knockout. So, like, I am being sincere here. If you know her, can you put in a word for us? I seriously love her, and I would treat her well. I wouldn't abuse her or assault her like comic book pros cover up. I would treat her with undying love and respect, and sometimes I'd even give her oral. The idea of this story, the awful idea, we are going back to the Justice League's first ever mission, and it turns out that we never knew that the Justice League, the team, they were brought together by Trump. There is nothing I hate more than when new characters are just inserted into continuity and they are given fucking obscene roles like this to write them up. The Justice League, they are a classic team, a bunch of classic characters. At this point, they had been around for 34 years. They didn't need a shite new character like Trump being inserted into their backstory and their origin, and apparently being responsible for the group's whole existence. It's just obscene. The story is there's some aliens and they're attacking Earth, and Trump is the only one who can stop them, and he's also the only person on all of Earth who fought to gather a bunch of heroes together. So he's bossing the team about, cause he didn't just bring them together, he's leading them. There he is with Superman and a Vision, and Canary is doing her scream there, and that is hot. She is the only reason I would ever read this comic. We learned very little about Trump, actually. For his first appearance, nobody would come away from this thinking he is an interesting character. I want to read more about this exciting creation. And there's Canary again, looking amazing there. And just up from there, we have got a nice little bum shot for the pervs. But hands off, I won't have any of you objectify this wonderful woman like that. So these members of the team, they defeat the aliens, but only because Trump had a brilliant plan. But really, if you look, it's clearly Canary's scream that is doing most of the work. There's some more of Trump bossing around Superman. Ugh. So the Flask and Aquaman, they go off into space to fight the aliens. They kind of have a race up into space. That could be fun. They could have told a story about that. But no, instead we are getting the enthralling adventures of Trump. And Trump, he is bossing the team around some more. That's all he really does. That's really endearing him as a character, isn't it? And he is bossing around these iconic and beloved characters. Like, these characters, they are actual institutions. Like Superman is like one of the most iconic images in the world. And some prick has come along and gone, I can do better, and has come up with this shitty Trump character. So the rest of the team, they go into space to meet with Flask and Aquaman, and they have been attacked and they need help. And here, this annoys us, the Vision, there's this bit, and it's some really bad editing. The Vision calls Trump by the name Trump. Except at this point in the story, he hasn't settled on a name yet. He hasn't settled on the name Trump. And this is highlighted, not on the next page, but on the page after that. He does this big feat to save the day because the Justice League couldn't do it themselves. It has to rely on this exciting new retcon character. And here is when he decides to call himself Trump. Before this, there had been no suggestion that is going to be his name, except the Vision already called him that. And I just want to go back to here to highlight how insulting this story is. Trump is thinking, got to stay focused. Everyone else is a screw-up. Everyone else has left. Even Superman. Fuck off. Then after he has saved the day, we cut to the modern era. And he has shown up at the Justice League base. And he meets this sorry excuse for the League. Mr. Fantasticals, Kabuto, some Bearman, Polaris, and fucking Desperado. I said in my review of 0 Hours, Christmas in Time, there was a shot where we saw the heroes and Desperado was with them. And I said, if DC really made Desperado a hero in the 90s, then I am never reading another DC comic again. I have since found out that yes, they did. And more so, the writer, the person responsible for this absolute abortion of an idea, the writer behind it was Martin fucking Quaid. And Trump, he joins the team and the story is to be continued. This is awful, really bad. Not a good story, awful idea, super insulting to fans of the Justice League, and I was prepared to blame it all on Christopher Pruitt. But the icing on the cake, Trump apparently isn't his character. He just wound up writing his first appearance and a bunch of his subsequent appearances. He is the writer most associated with the character, but Trump, and the idea of inserting him into the Justice League's origin like this, that wasn't his. This awful character and awful idea was, again, the work of Martin Quaid. Fuck off, Martin. You are an awful person. You're just awful. A bad writer, a bad editor, and a bad person. I don't care how much people swoon over your shitty little run on the Flask or Tragic Kingdom. You're as much as streamlined cyanide to all comics. 7 thumbs up.